I realized something recently. It's been 10 years since I first started learning animation. And when I was just getting into it, I took some community college classes in 3D and Maya, and ultimately ended up dropping out of college and leaving computer science to pursue animation entirely. I went to Animation Mentor online. That's an 18-month program, which I did. So taking that experience and mixing it with the other life skills that I had and the other experiences from jobs and stuff, I ended up landing my job at DreamWorks in the training department as a trainer. At this point, I was 21 years old, full-time working at a major studio when most of my friends were still in college figuring out what they wanted to do and just getting started with internships. Now that's not me bragging. I'll come back to why that wasn't all such a good thing. But when I first arrived, I was a long way from being ready to transition into the animation department, which was my goal. And I had a lot to learn before I'd be hireable as a professional animator. And that's the very short version of the story, but all of that happened very quickly. And somehow I thought that that was because, I'm doing so well. Things are moving so quickly. This is great. I need to keep up this career growth. However, a lot of it bit me in the ass and I had to relearn a bunch of stuff and unlearn the rest. So let me save you some trouble by telling you the mistakes I made as an animation student. Also, this is different than the 20 things I wish I knew as a beginning animator. That video has a lot of good stuff, but this is more focused on school and career advice, but these go hand in hand, so they're both worth watching. Oh, and I'm also gonna tell you some things I see other people do that drive me absolutely crazy. So, stay tuned for that. I never read the books and I didn't watch all the lecture videos. When I was going to school, every single week we had assignments to do and we had videos to watch. That was how the educational component was doled out. We had weekly meetings with our mentor, but we also had lecture videos. And I watched them for a while, and then eventually, 6 classes, 18 months worth of information, eventually I stopped watching them all. I don't even know if I was watching any of them after a certain point for some reason. And if I did, I'd watch them right before the mentor class would start, so I'd know what we were going to talk about. But I wasn't actually learning the stuff and absorbing the resources and the materials that were available to me. But I was treating animation school like regular school. Because, regular school, we'd have history homework, we'd have reading to do, we'd have math, and I wouldn't always really do the homework. I wasn't always a great student. So The Illusion of Life, The Animator Survival Kit, I didn't own those books. To this day, I've never read The Illusion of Life. And I've never owned a copy of The Animator Survival Kit until a month ago. I bought it for a video I'm going to be doing, which I know is blasphemy. Everybody's supposed to read those books. They're supposed to be the animation Bibles, right? I never did. And I think looking back at my work from the time, it showed, because I really wasn't applying the information that was available to me. My work wasn't looking that good for a long time, and that's a big reason why. Next was trying to get hired way too early. During classes 2, 3, and 4, there are 6 classes in that curriculum. And it's not until you finish class 6 that you're supposed to have the foundation and the fundamentals all kind of covered to then go make a great demo reel. Class 2, I was just barely learning how to move a character, and I'm trying to get a job at that point. Too early. I was trying to get internships and get hired to sort of take a shortcut to not have to do quite so much school. Why? Who on earth would have hired me? The fact that I thought I was hireable back then, incredible. The confidence. I wish I had that confidence today. School is for learning and work is for working. If you are learning stuff, just do it in a school environment, because imagine I get hired somewhere at that point and I do a bad job because I don't know how to do anything and I get fired. That's gonna make it that much harder to get a job somewhere else. I might have blown my chance to work at that studio. If I had gotten in the door somehow at that studio and they fired me, well, I'm not getting back in for a couple of years at least until they see, okay, he's finally learned. Now this one's interesting because from week to week I was submitting assignments, getting feedback, getting notes, and I was addressing those notes as best as I could. Sometimes it went well, sometimes not so well. But when an assignment was complete, I would hand something in and say, hey, here's the final assignment, and I'd get notes and say, okay, this is close, this is good, we're gonna call it good, move on to the next thing, blah, blah, blah. But if you were to make it better, here are my recommendations. And my mentors would generally tell me how I could make those shots better, how I can improve them. And then they'd give me the next assignment. Well, I would focus on the next assignment and completely ignore the feedback about what I had just done. I wouldn't go back and make it any better. I was still treating it like school, where I was oh, I got credit, done. When I finished Animation Mentor, the end of class 6, I completed the curriculum. My mentor at the time was a supervising animator at DreamWorks Animation, and he went through at the very end of term and gave me a full review of my entire demo reel up to that point. Every single shot, what was working well, what could be better, what could be improved, and the reel as a whole, what it was missing, what they'd be looking for, the things that, okay, you've got some body mechanics, but we'd like to see this, your facial stuff could use this, da-da-da-da-da. Great feedback. Very comprehensive, a roadmap to success of, you're done with school, here are the steps you need to take so that you can apply and get a job. Do these things. Tell me why I didn't take any of that feedback. I went in preparation of this video to look at some of my old stuff from Animation Mentor and said, okay, what was I doing? I found that review. I found my recordings of it because back then it wasn't automatically recorded. I had to record it myself. I found the files. I got that feedback And I'm sure I was like, yeah, I should definitely do this. And I put it away and never looked at it again. None of that feedback ever touched my reel. To be fair, immediately after all this happened, I got hired at DreamWorks in the training department, so I was focused then on my actual job and doing a good job. I wasn't focused on animation, so that's fine. But when I went back to inevitably start working on my demo reel, I never revisited that feedback. I just thought, I'm starting over. It's like there was still so much information in there that would have been so good to know. Where to begin? What kinds of new shots to start? So the takeaway from this one is just when you're given feedback, even if it's optional, take it, apply it, and practice it. I also wasn't getting feedback from my peers. Like I wasn't engaging in the community around me. Back then it wasn't super lively, but people were still doing it. I was not really participating all that much, and I should have been. Today, the community aspect of the animation community online, it's thriving. Participate, be a part of it. Just, show your work to other people, help other people with their work, just be a part of that community. You will grow so much faster, I promise you. And something to go right along with that is don't be so focused on the mentors and the industry professionals that you think you can network with to grow in your career. Yeah, people who are industry professionals can help you and give you advice and they can put in a good word for you. Like that's a thing, sure. I have a whole video on networking and how to do that properly. Watch this video. Seriously, watch that video. But the thing you should be focused on is not the mentors, not the industry pros, but the people around you, your peers, the other students at your level, because you will all help each other, you'll grow together. You're not in competition with them, as much as everyone likes to say that. You are all working collaboratively to grow as a group. It's that thing about like the rising tide lifts all ships or something. That is super true here. It is the people you befriend and the connections that you make and the relationships that you have among your level that as you all grow, some of you will start to find opportunities and everyone's going to want to help each other. That is how things happen. Be a good friend to people and be part of it. When you film reference, just film reference. Don't worry about trying to like build in anticipations and arcs. Like don't overact your reference to make it more animated. Just film the stuff. Your ability to analyze and pull that kind of stuff out of real life will grow with time and experience. You don't need to be putting it in your animation because then you're tainting the actual mechanics and core of the shot. Here's some reference from my first ever body mechanics piece, and you can see that I am overacting and I'm reaching and I'm doing these arcs and I'm doing all these big actions trying to give myself an easier time once I hit Maya. But I don't need to do all that, and it didn't help me anyways because my actual animation's terrible. It's my first body mechanics shot, so like whatever, it's fine, but it didn't help me. And that's not what you're going to be dealing with on the day-to-day anyway, so don't worry about trying to overdo it. Just analyze what's there. Another thing is, even though today I'm super comfortable in Maya, I know how to do every technical thing that you could possibly want to know how to do with constraints and IK and FK, like I'm really good at that stuff today. I was so afraid of the technical aspects of Maya when I was a student that I would just not animate things that were going to involve those challenges because I was like, I don't want to learn how to do it. I don't want to do it wrong. I don't want to break anything. I'll just do something else. Whether it is IK and FK constraints or whatever software stuff, you are going to have to know how to do that at a job. So you may as well learn when you have people to ask for help. I know the technical stuff can be really scary for some people who just, it doesn't come super naturally. You can learn it and it will get easier, but you need to kind of jump in and don't shy away and try to avoid it forever because eventually it's gonna catch up to you. This is a bit of a workflow one. I used to start blocking a shot, but I would get caught up in like the hand or the fingers or the arc or something. And I would start polishing just like one little section. So I'd, set a big key, set a pig key, mess with the foot, and then I'd be like in deep and I'd be adding all these keys, trying to get the toe to work just right. I haven't even finished like a first pass of blocking. The moment I change anything, all of this work was irrelevant. Don't focus so heavily on little details. Focus on the broad strokes of the idea and getting your overall shot just in there. You can do that by either animating your shot in phrases, in chunks, or you can just do like light passes and layer stuff on top. These are different workflows, but either way, the point is to just work and don't get hung up on little things because really that's a procrastination tactic to not have to do the real work. The other thing I would do a lot is I would go to presentations, I'd go to conventions, I'd go to schools and Q&As and all that kind of stuff, guest speaker lectures, and I would take extensive notes, which is good. However, I wouldn't try any of it. I wouldn't put any of it into practice. If I was told by somebody on stage, like, okay, here's how you do blinks, here's how you, blah, blah, blah with the facial animation. So what I recommend you do is animate a blink. Just take a week and just focus on just one eyeball and do the blink. I didn't do any of that. I didn't try it. I was like, yeah, wow, genius. And then I just put those notes to the side and I never touched them again until eventually I was like, I think I have notes on that somewhere. Try to put into practice all the little things you learn as exercises. Like give it a shot. Try to solidify it in your brain by actually applying that knowledge instead of just sitting on it and assuming you'll remember. And 3 quick things that I covered in the other video, so I'm not going to dive into them too much now. Retaking classes is not a bad or shameful thing. It is probably the best thing you can do. The people I know who have retaken classes when they've struggled, they're way better off for it. Also, procrastinating, or as we like to call it, waiting until I can work under pressure, because I work best under pressure. No, that's a terrible thing to do. Stop that. And again, assignments are for your knowledge. They're not for credit. It's not that you need to check the boxes and just do these things because you're told you need to do them because you get a grade. All of the stuff you do as an animation student is designed to help you grow as an artist. And so if you are just kind of phoning it in, you are not going to get a job any sooner, which is your goal anyway, isn't it? So really take your time to learn the stuff. Sometimes I would not save a lot of time to work on my assignments because I was procrastinating, I was waiting till the last minute, and so I only had time to address all the notes I was given. And so week after week, I would show up having completed the notes and the feedback that I had received, but not really getting to do anything new, anything different. Like the shot wasn't evolving or growing beyond just the stuff I was told to correct. That is no way to work. From week to week or from session to session or whatever speed you're going, you should be hitting all the feedback that your mentor is giving you and then doing more work, adding to it, continuing the animation. It's not just doing what they told you to do. You also have to then progress of your own accord. So do that. Those are the mistakes that I remember making, but let me leave you with some that I see other people making and they drive me crazy. If you're given a note, take the note, understand why it's being given to you, where it's coming from, and try to evaluate, how to implement it. Don't get defensive about it, and please do not try to sit there and explain the choice and talk about it. Well, here's why, I was really thinking. It doesn't matter. The person probably doesn't care because you probably have limited time to talk about your entire shot. So if every time they give you a note, you're going to sit there and try to explain the choices of why you did it and try to justify it, let it go, accept okay, well, it didn't come across. Try something else. There will come a time where maybe you can push back against that feedback when you have a reason for those choices. But if you are in school, it's probably not the time yet. Having to redo parts of your shot or even the shot as a whole is part of the job. It's a very normal thing. It's part of the territory. So if you're given a note that's going to break something, like a walk cycle, if you're given a note to change something about the walk cycle and it's going to break 5 other things you have going on, don't try to tone down the note and just hit it as much as possible just to not break. Sometimes you have to delete whole sections of your animation. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to be excited about that process, but that is part of being an animator, as much as it kind of sucks at times. And just remember that if you're going to do something over again, you can do it even better the second time, and usually faster too. Please take notes. That is such a huge thing where a lot of people won't take notes. I don't know why. They just assume they're going to remember everything, and nobody ever does. Because I can't tell you how many times I've given advice or given feedback or tried to help somebody with information, and then a week or 2 or however long later, they come back and say, what was it you said? I don't remember what I was supposed to be doing. Well, why did I spend all that time with you? Write it down. And it's okay if you have, if it's an honest mistake, if you lost the notes, or if you thought you wrote it down, but maybe you missed that part. It's okay when things happen, sure. But if this is a pattern and you consistently miss stuff or aren't understanding things and you're not taking notes, that's probably a big part of why. It shows that you respect the other person's time and what they're saying enough that you are saying, okay, well, what you're saying is memorable. I would like to remember it. I want to point out that asking questions is not a bad thing. You should absolutely ask clarifying questions. If you don't understand something, if you're not getting it, it's okay to say, I'm not sure I understand. Here's what I am getting. Here's where you're losing me. That's okay to not get it and to have questions. Ask for help. However, on the flip side, there is a limit to the types of questions you can ask or how many you should ask. I'm not saying that there is a number of okay, 5 questions is too many questions. You have to show that you are willing to try before asking. If you're being explained something, you just don't get it, you can ask clarifying questions. If you get stuck somewhere, you're oh, I don't know how to do this thing in Maya, or oh, I'm not sure what this is supposed to look like. The first thing you should do is try to solve the problem. Try to discover a solution on your own, whether it's asking other people, whether it's researching, whether it's reading the books, watching the videos, whatever it is. Use the resources and the internet at your fingertips to try to discover an answer. Don't just automatically say, I don't get it. Can you hold my hand? Can you show me what I don't know what I'm supposed to do? This is your shared responsibility to put in the work yourself to actively learn and participate in your own creative growth. I love helping people with stuff, but you also have to help yourself. Filming reference is also something that you get more comfortable with time. I used to be so uncomfortable in front of a camera, and it would freak me out having to talk to a camera, but obviously now I'm much more comfortable with it. Filming reference is another one of those things that you will get better at with time, and you have to try. It's a skill that you need to develop. You don't necessarily have to love it or be great at it, but you do need to give it a shot in the same way. Because while you can usually ask friends or coworkers or people that you know for help, but hey, can I film you for this thing? Can you help me with reference? Yeah. Sometimes you may not have access to another person, or you can't find what you need online and you literally have to come up with something yourself. And just remember that you don't generally have to show people your reference. It's for you. It's not to, display to the world. Just because I show reference in my videos doesn't mean you have to be comfortable showing your reference to other people. It is a planning tool and you should know how to use the tool. This one can be interpreted in different ways because there's many ways to have a bad attitude. You can be mean and grumpy and angry and I'm mostly talking about being overly negative, self-deprecating, or generally hopeless in your outlook on your career and on things. Nobody wants to work with someone who's constantly killing the vibe. And it's not like you have to be this beacon of toxic positivity, always smiling, always happy. That's not what I'm saying. There is absolutely nothing wrong with feeling negative, feeling self-deprecating, to feeling a bit hopeless. Like, it happens. We're artists, we're creative, we have self-doubt and imposter syndrome in life that make things not always go so well. But try not to dwell on it, as hard as that can be at times. But more so, don't project that at people. That is not the thing you want to lead with. That's not what you want to be known for. I've known people who have been like that, who when I think of them, I just remember all the stuff they would say of, oh, I'm just so bad at this. I'm never going to get it. I've been trying this for so long and it's just the worst, and I'm the worst, and I'm never going to get a job, and oh, I should just give up, blah, blah, blah. It's okay to feel like that sometimes, but it is good to build better habits, mentally, to train your brain to pick itself back up and dust itself off and say, that sucked. I need to feel that for a minute. Okay, well, I'm gonna try again. And you gotta find a way to bring some of that optimistic energy in, or no one's gonna wanna work with you. And you're gonna end up just manifesting bad things in your career. You have to believe that good things will come. So that's just one to work on and be mindful of. At the end of the day, there's so much to learn when it comes to animation, and it's very easy to fall into some of these traps and these pitfalls and to just kind of phone it in. If you want to be a good animator, though, and you want to be successful in your career, it takes work, it takes time, and it takes dedication. So try to not do some of the stuff that I was doing for a long time. I have grown past a lot of that stuff. Some stuff I still struggle with, as we all do. But, it's a work in progress, so keep working on it. I'm Sir Wade. See you in the next video.